All right, I want to welcome on my next guest. We've got NFL Hall of Famer, 11-time Pro Bowl left tackle, Willie Roaf. Willie, how's everything going?
Great. How you doing, man? Trying to stay safe.
Yeah, I am. I'm waiting for this heat wave to end. I'm getting tired of that. I like some cool weather.
Where are you located?
I'm in the DC area, but it's just been like humid and 100, and I'm like,
Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm in Florida, so at least I get a breeze. You know,
Yeah.
we get a breeze. It started raining right now, so the last couple of days have been nice because it's been a great breeze and it's been a little overcast and raining in the afternoon. So I'll take it.
Are people starting to be more safe there? I know the cases were getting pretty high.
The younger people really, man, they're trying to get out and hang out. They're not really worried about it. You know, my daughter just finished high school and they get out and hang out, and then the next thing you know, they're going home with their parents and stuff. So, you know, my daughter, we're too far north. She's in Jupiter area, so she likes hanging out with her little friends. But she's going to LSU next year, so
oh, cool.
Hopefully she stays safe. But you know,
definitely. Yeah, no, because I know the governor of Maryland was saying today that apparently they have more cases of people under the age of 35 than over, and I'm like,
yes,
it's insane. It's insane.
Because they're hanging out.
Yeah,
and then a lot of them aren't wearing masks.
Nope, it's wild. Yeah, it's wild. And I saw Walmart just said across the board they're making everybody wear a mask. So get ready. There's going to be a lot of people put on YouTube in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you just a little bit about your early on career. So is it true you only got one offer coming out of high school?
The first offer I had was Louisiana Tech. And then I had Arkansas State. Because the two guys from my high school that came to recruit, Trey Reed and enshrined Richmond, both went on a recruiting trip and they both committed. Then they ended up going to Arkansas State. Larry Lacewell was a longtime scout with the Cowboys and was real good friends with Jerry Jones, was the head coach at the time. So they went to Arkansas. They ended up going to Arkansas State. Now, I did have some offers in basketball.
Oh, really?
I went to basketball camp at University of Arkansas when Pippen came out, and I had UCA, Southeast Missouri. I don't think he told me all my offers in basketball, but in football, Louisiana Tech was the first offer I had. And when I left basketball camp after my junior year, I knew UCA had already pretty much offered me, but, you know, I took the football scholarship.
So you said you knew Pippen growing up?
Well, Pippen was a senior in college when I came out.
Oh, wow.
So I knew, yeah, everybody knew who he was. But
that's wild.
He was real good. He was a star, and, you know, we had a lot of good campers up there, and I had a real good camp. So
that's awesome.
You know, I really love basketball, too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so when did you decide that you were going to kind of lean towards the route of going football?
Well, when I finished high school, I wanted to take a scholarship offer, and my grades were decent. I had like a 2.8, so my ACT score was not the best. I didn't do as well as I should have. So, you know, it was scholarship or military. You know,
oh, wow.
So that was when you're 18, it was time to leave. So it was time for me to go.
And so what was your first experience like when you got to Louisiana Tech?
Man, I got there on a recruiting trip, and they didn't know if I was playing football or basketball because I was about 225. So, in fact, my roommate, Doug Evans, ended up not going to the combine, and he ran a 4.37. He got drafted by Green Bay in the 6th round and played 11 years. So we had him playing safety at Tech.
Oh, wow.
And they moved him to corner in the NFL. But we had some real good coaching staff, and I got there on a recruiting trip and went and saw those. To me, that was like Alabama when I saw those facilities, and we were going Division I, so it was exciting. And we had some good players, and we had a real good program. So I got there in 88, and in 89 we went Division I, and you know we played against some real good competition, and we had some good teams. We played on the road a lot, but we were tough.
Who's the toughest guy you had to block in college?
College, I mean, it was some schools. Auburn was tough. I had a real good game against Curry when Alabama won the national championship in '92. But you know, college was pretty good. I mean, it might have been some guys. I can't really remember that nobody really got after me a lot at college. Maybe when I was a little younger, but in college I was, you know, I was pretty good.
And then, so was the NFL on your radar like early on in college?
No, it wasn't no NFL. I mean, I almost kept playing basketball. It was first of all they moved me to the offensive line. Well, I played tackle in high school too, but I'm 220, 230. So they told me you're gonna be 300 pounds one day, and I said you were crazy, and I didn't think so. But no, NFL. I was just happy to get a scholarship. There wasn't a lot of guys going pro. if when I was there in '90, we had Eddie Brown, Antonio Brown's dad.
Oh,
From
wow.
junior college. Yeah, he's a real good player. He played in the Arena League a long time, but he got a tryout with Arizona. Derek Douglas got a tryout with Cleveland, made the practice squad for a couple years. Glenell Sanders, the linebacker, made it in the league. So guys even getting free agency tryouts and coming back on campus. I mean, they were like big. That was like a big thing for us to see those guys come back. And we're talking about just getting the free agency tryout, not even getting drafted. So, and then lo and behold, we have the class of '92, and 4 of us get drafted. And 5 of us made it to the league.
So if the NFL was on your radar, what was your plan after college?
That's a good question. I don't know what my plan was after college. I don't know. I mean, I was playing ball and was going to summer school, so I really wasn't on course to get my degree. I needed about 5 classes, but you asked a good question. I mean, I was we were on the quarter system. So if you know quarter, semester is 2 semesters. Yeah. Quarter system is 10 weeks, 3 different quarters, right? So if you goof off 1 quarter, you kind of get behind the 8 ball because you can only take 8 hours at the full load. It's only 24 hours. Semester, you need 36. You don't need as many hours on the quarter system. So I would end up going to summer school to make sure I had my hours to be eligible. But if you got behind, they crammed a lot of information. If you got behind, it was tough to catch up on the quarter system.
Interesting. And then, so who was the first person that kind of brought the idea of playing in the NFL to you? That said, like, you got a shot.
I mean, I knew after my redshirt sophomore year, we went 8-3. It was one of the best teams in Tech history. Eddie was on that team, and Bobby Slaughter, myself, Myron Baker, who played in the league, Doug Evans. We had some good mix of vet and JUCO guys and prop guys, and Artie Smith, who went pro. So we went 8-3 and played Maryland in the Pennis Bowl, and I played pretty good. That year we beat Colorado State at home. That year Auburn was ranked number 5. We had the number 2 offense in the country, and they kicked the field goal to beat us at Auburn, and they were the number 5 team in the country. So we knew we were good. We had a lot of talent, a mixture of guys, and we played Maryland to a tie. And after that redshirt sophomore, I was probably about 270, 275. I knew if I knew I was big and fast, and was athletic, and I knew it wasn't probably a lot of guys in the country that were going to be faster than me for my size. So they told me if I took care of my business, that I was going to have a chance to go pro. And after my junior year, I got an invitation to the Hula Bowl after my junior year. Before my senior, I had an invitation to the Hula Bowl. So, I thought about leaving my red shirt junior year, but I'm glad I stayed.
And speaking of being big and fast, what do you think of a guy like Mekhi Becton coming out of Louisville?
Oh, man, he was moving, wasn't he? 6'7" and 360, 370.
I was like, he got where? I was like,
yeah. I will say this. If he's going to play left tackle or play a long time, even as big as he is, he probably needs to lean down. Probably about 15, 20 pounds. Probably a good weight for him to be about 340. Ogden was bigger than that, but Ogden wasn't heavier than 340 when he played, you know what I mean? And he was 6'8.5".
Yeah. And then, so what was your kind of like your draft process like? Because I saw you had a great combine that kind of put you more on the radar, but
well, going into after my junior year, I got invited to the Hula Bowl. A bunch of Lincoln, Washington had won the national championship and won the Rose Bowl in '91. Lincoln probably should have come out his junior year. Lincoln Kennedy was the man going into the senior year, like the one that was supposed to be top 5 pick or this or that. So going to my senior, I said, okay, Lincoln Kennedy's the man. All the rest of us had like a combine rating that was about a second, third round pick. About 4 or 5 linemen were grouped together. Yeah. So I was like, well, I need to go out and have a good senior year. And what can I do to separate myself away from the pack? And after I had a good senior year, we went 5 or 6. We were independent. So even though we went 5 or 6 and I was coming from Louisiana Tech, I was still an All-American and run up for the Outland. So I go to the combine. Lincoln's hurt. Lincoln was at the Hula Bowl in the Shrine game, but he didn't play or whatever. So at the combine, he didn't work out. So when I got to the combine, my whole mindset was to run a good 40 time, to lift well, broad jump, all that stuff across the board. But I think my 40 time for my size was what they saw, what ended up making me be I won a pick ahead of Lincoln. I won 8, Lincoln won 9.
Oh, cool. And so what teams were kind of showing interest in you before the combine?
They were saying anywhere from 5 to 10. So Cincinnati was, I think, 5, and Cleveland was 6, somewhere in Tampa. And then you had Chicago at 7, and they took Curtis Conway, who's married to Layla Ali now.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, Curtis Conway was a receiver from USC.
Yeah.
So I was anywhere from 5 to 8. And the guy, Alabama, in the getting drafted 5 was Colt Curry, who I played very well against. The two defensive ends from Alabama went back-to-back 5 and 6. Then Curtis Conway. Then Detroit had the 8th pick. And the scouts from the Saints had really been watching me. Hokie Gajan and was a great guy. He passed away, but he was friends with my line coach. Oh, cool. You got to understand at Tech, we had Petey Perot, who my line coach played for Dick Vermeer. I played for Dick Vermeer, and he played for the Saints 2 years. Steve Insminger, the coordinator for the LSU, was our offensive coordinator. Pat Tilley was our receivers coach. Mike Barber used to help with the tight ends, who was a pro. So a lot of our staff were pros, and we ran a pro set offense. And at that time period, most of the colleges were running the flex bone or wishbone with 3 running back sets, so guys couldn't pass block. All we did was spread the ball around and pass block and zone block and pull for the counter, both the guard and set tackle. So we ran a lot of pro-style stuff that we were running at Louisiana Tech, so it really helped us. So they have been watching me, and La Tech traded Pat Swilling, who was defensive player of the year before, an all-pro, to Detroit, and I signed up going to the Saints.
Wow. Do you think they must have been watching you while you were playing at Louisiana Tech because you were so close?
Yeah, they had watched because I'd been up there, and they used to have training camp in Ruston a couple years before that. So I think they had been keeping an eye on me, and it's ironic that Jim Finks, Hall of Fame general manager, drafted me. I was his last draft pick, and I never got a chance to meet him. He got sick and died that year.
Wow, that's interesting. And then
a lot of history there. And I was the first Louisiana player drafted in the first round by the Saints. Not
really?
From Louisiana Tech. I was the first Louisiana player drafted in the first round.
That's awesome. And then so was the draft in New York that year?
Huh?
Did they have the draft in New York? It was like the live everything?
Yeah, we were like the first draft. I was in New York. We went to New York, and I remember Irv Smith was there, whose son plays for Minnesota now. And the Saints had the 20th pick, so they took Irv with the 20th pick, but I was the 8th pick, so I'd already taken the number 1 jersey. So he was still mad that I got that jersey. But so yeah, I was in New York with my family and friends. We were at the New York Marriott Marquis Hotel.
Oh, cool.
And my parents were there, my sister. And my sister Mary got real emotional because Cincinnati was saying don't draft him and booing and stuff. And she was upset because she's like, well, why are they upset with you when they don't know you? She didn't like the process, but it all worked out. And I ended up going 8th, but we went out and had a good time in New York with my friends, and that was a special time.
And then so what was your first experience like when you kind of got to the Saints?
I got there for minicamp, and it was very hot, and probably wasn't in the best condition. And I think Coach Moore didn't know me, and they knew I was the first round pick. And I think the first time they saw me lumbering around, because it was hot, he saw me walking on the practice field. He said, shit, is this guy injured or what's wrong with him? So, when it's hot and I'm out there on the field, they used to call me the Duke in college because I started walking sideways and all this stuff, but I would take off running. So he was like, Moore was concerned about me until I got there on the practice field. And then he saw that I was going to be all right.
What was the local media saying when you got selected by New Orleans? Were they happy with the pick, or they're like they took the wrong guy?
It was a little pressure on me because Pat Swilling had gotten traded. Yeah. It wasn't necessarily about them picking me. It was about they traded Pat Swilling and broke up the Dome Patrol. Yeah. And those linebackers had been to 4 consecutive Pro Bowls together. Pat, Vaughn Johnson, Sam Mills, and Ricky Jackson. Ricky's in the Hall of Fame, who I played with and played against. They were the group and took the Saints to the playoffs, and they were the group that started the notoriety and started bringing some attention to New Orleans. So I think it was more they broke up that Dome Patrol, and my main thing was getting in camp on time. I wanted to get in camp on time, learn the system, and get a chance to start, and I played every down my rookie year.
That's awesome. What do you think that since with all the stuff going on now with the pandemic, for all the rookies that are kind of getting, I think they're going to be getting to camp in the next few days. What do you think they've missed out on since everything's been virtual up till now?
They didn't miss out on a lot. All they missed out on was mini camps. As long as they get in camp on time and they start camp on time, and they test as much as they can,
Yeah.
they'll be fine. They got to learn the system. They got to practice. You know, they didn't get a chance. Usually you get to go up there. What they did, they missed out after a certain date. They get to go up there for the rest of the summer and learn stuff. So they didn't get to meet their teammates, get to know them, and they didn't get to practice any. So I'll say that's the only thing. And I think they cut out all of the preseason. So I'd be careful. You know, when you cut out the preseason and you go straight to regular season, unless you're a vet, you're young guys, you got to really watch your body and watch yourself because you get a lot of injuries when you have it. Unless they get a chance to practice a lot, you get a lot of injuries in like Achilles and different pools and stuff because you got to practice and get out in that heat and run around with those pads on. So that's the only thing I'd be worried about, the fact that these guys haven't been able to practice and they're not playing in the preseason game. And when you don't, in the preseason games, get you ready for the regular season game, get your conditioning and cardio ready for the regular season, right? So these guys are basically going to be getting in shape. Those first 2 or 3 games of the preseason, of the regular season, are going to be getting them in shape for the rest of the year because you don't have any preseason football.
Because I know I saw that Kelvin Harmon on Washington, I guess just maybe he wasn't ready, and I think he tore up his knee, and he's out for the year. And I think that's just you're gonna start seeing that because it's gonna be really interesting. And so, do you think the season's gonna start on time?
I hope so. I mean, but like you said, I mean, it's different between running around with tennis shoes on than running around with pads and cleats on. You know what I mean? Your body you got weight on you. It's all the torquing and moving and stuff. So it's, you know, that's why it's pro football. I mean, not everybody can do that. So you gotta, your body has to get used to it. And the only thing I worry about is they haven't put on the pads and done it for a while. You know, making sure that body can, these big guys, if you remember, Dez Bryant tore his Achilles when he went to New Orleans. He hadn't played football in a while. He was a little heavy. And he was running around with cleats on, and he had been playing a lot of basketball. Well, that's not helping you with football.
No.
That's why they told Mahomes he can't play basketball. He can't do certain things. You need to be doing football-type activity, even without the pads on. And then we laugh at Tom Brady, but it's kind of smart how he trains. You see him with the shoulder pads and all that stuff on when he's working out, because basically he's always training with his body with stuff on similar to enactment of being in a football practice or in a football game. So when he puts everything on, it's the same because he's got cleats and he's got shoulder pads on. Even though he doesn't have the pants on, he's still running around with cleats and shoulder pads. So his body's used to doing it.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably all the cleats, and he had the pads on. He was getting chased by that lady at the park, and then he ran into the wrong house and went to the offensive coordinator. Can you imagine if Tom Brady just burst through your front door? I can't picture that. I think, oh, my bad.
I'd be wanting to take a picture with him and get an autograph with him. Man. I'd be pulling out anything I had to get him signed. I know his autograph's worth a lot of money.
Oh yeah, and then he can sign your fruit bar, your what do you call them? What is it, the avocado ice cream too.
Exactly.
It's wild. And then so when training camp starting out, were you kind of trying to make a name for yourself, knowing that you're not directly, but you were sort of replacing like a fan favorite, and you're like, I gotta earn their respect. Was that kind of on the back of your mind, or were you just ready to play?
Yeah, well, weird story. They had picked up a guy named Tootie Robbins from, I think it was Green Bay or Arizona, and they signed him to a 1-year deal. At that time, they gave him a $500,000 signing bonus, which is a lot of money. That's a lot of money now. A lot of money back in 1993. Well, he wasn't used to doing all the banging we did at training camp because he was at a team where they took care of him because it was his 13th year. He had been in the league for a year. So he had a trick shoulder and popped it out. So I ended up starting the first preseason game because Tootie was hurt. And I was practicing with Ricky and those guys every day. So I ended up starting that preseason game, and they saw that I could play. They ended up cutting him.
Really?
He went back to his old team, played that last year, so he got the signing bonus, went back, made another $1 million some, and then he retired. So when they saw me in the preseason game, they felt comfortable enough because we played in the Japan Bowl. We had 5 preseason games that year. So they felt comfortable enough to let him go, and then I ended up starting.
What was the Japan?
At right tackle.
What was the Japan Bowl? I've been hearing about that a lot, but they don't do it.
The Japan Bowl in Tokyo. Teams would go to Japan, and we played Philadelphia Eagles. So I played Reggie White. I scrimmaged Reggie, and I played Reggie White my rookie year. He didn't play a lot in the Japan Bowl, but I played in my rookie year on the field too. But back then it was 5 preseason games. Now they go to the Hall of Fame game, but at that point the team went to the Japan. We flew all the way to Japan from Minnesota, 15 hours in the daylight, got off the plane. I remember this because we left when it wasn't dark. It was daylight the whole trip over. You have to leave at night, right? So it's dark outside, but it wasn't. So I didn't sleep well. I'd never been on a plane like that in my life. As soon as we get off the plane to Japan, we go to the practice field and we run around. So they wanted to get you running and get you moving around. So you're tired and out of it. Me and Irv Smith were roommates. We got back to the room, and they said we had a day off the next day. We almost missed the meeting. I slept for about 24 hours straight.
Wow.
My body, to adjust to that, everything, I slept for like a day.
That's what. Did they get a lot of good turnout there? I didn't know there's much of an NFL fan base out there.
No, it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a big turnout, but the NFL had to deal with them because at that time, too, the colleges used to go over there and play in the Japan Bowl. Nebraska played in the Japan Bowl that year. So they had a deal. They were going to Japan and playing over there. And guys used to go sumo wrestling with the guys and the college guys. So they had some deal, and they ended it soon after that. But I think guys like going over there. I just remember the vets were going out, having a good time and doing stuff, and I didn't leave the hotel. I went to practice. I came back to the hotel. I laid up in the room. I got some rest. I mean, I wasn't trying to do anything, but I was just adjusting to all the practicing and everything else. But I just remember it was a long trip, and I was ready to get back home.
Yeah, because if you take the wrong turn, you go on the wrong street, it's gonna be hard finding directions because people can be like, they're not gonna know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. So that rookie year, when did you kind of what was there an adjustment period for you, or did you kind of did Louisiana Tech kind of prepare you to kind of take a hit?
I was prepared physically and I was prepared mentally. I wasn't the blitzing and some of the stuff was a little difficult. Just learning the system and learning the blitz packages and different things and how they blitz in the pros and all the sub packages was an adjustment for me when you're learning the system. But other than that, as far as athletically and me playing, I had a good year. I had real good rookie year. I only gave up, I think, a couple shots. And, I was alternate to the Pro Bowl my rookie year. So I got off to a good start my rookie year. And the next year I moved to left, so I went from right to left the next year.
That's awesome. You see many alligators down there? They're all over New Orleans.
No, we don't live we lived on a golf community with a bunch of little ponds. We used to see them a little bit then, but now we live on a regular community with no ponds, so we don't see any alligators.
Interesting. I always wondered, they're just walking around. Apparently
yeah, but you will see them. You will see them.
That's awesome.
Well, we're moving by the water, so we're moving by the salt water. Oh, I don't think they can get in salt water. I hope not, but I don't think they can. I don't think they can get in the intercoastal because it's salt water.
If they can, you better watch out. That's the thing.
Yeah, you got to watch out. I think crocodiles might be able to, not alligators.
They're everything. Them, you get crocodiles, alligators, you get murder hornets, everything coming all over.
Yeah. Well, you saw the woman the other day went in there to get her wallet out the thing with the alligators, and their son was running around with her.
No, I didn't see that.
In like an alligator pit. It was the craziest thing.
I saw the video today. It's from some home camera, and I guess the people just had it kind of positioned at their front door, and all of a sudden you see the door burst open, and a bear walked in. I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I saw it. It was like in the screen. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
That's what. So who was the toughest pass rusher you faced your rookie year?
Reggie White, strongest. It was another guy from Houston. It was very strong. He played for North Carolina. I forget his name. He was a defensive end. He was a real strong guy. But Reggie White was outside of being a great football player, he's a great human being. But he was the strongest guy I think I ever played against.
Who do you think's the closest we've seen to Reggie White since he played?
Reggie wasn't real quick, so they didn't run a lot of twists. I would say J.J. Watt's, but J.J. Watt's a lot more athletic. Yeah. I think he's pretty strong. But Reggie, they would line him up and down the line and go around, and the power he had. I would say a guy that disruption similar to him, as big as him. If you wanted to say in a defensive tackle form, it might be somebody like Chris Jones.
Really?
With the power, he's inside, but he's athletic and he's big and strong. He's a guy that's tough to deal with, but he's not on the outside. On the outside, let me think of a big, strong outside pass guy. Right now, I don't know if it's anybody like Reggie out there that's that big, has got that flower. More guys are more athletic and more moving around more. It's a little different. But the power he had was tough. But I would say, Chris Jones is a big athletic, but he's in a D tackle. But he's a big D tackle.
And since you played with the Saints for so long, do you think Cam Jordan is slept on?
Yeah, I do think he slept on. I think Cam's an excellent player. I think he made All-Pro. He finally made All-Pro last year. He told me before he was mad he didn't make All-Pro a couple of times because he thought he deserved it. I think Cam Jordan has put together a solid career. Yeah. And he doesn't get quite the recognition he deserves, but, he's a great player.
And then what are you expecting from the Saints this year? Because you had some talent. You got Emmanuel Sanders added to complement Michael Thomas. Looks loaded. I think they're the best team in the NFC.
I think the Saints are going to be tough to deal with in NFC because of the continuity and they know each other and they've been playing together for so long. I think that gives them total advantage. And adding somebody else on the offensive end is going to help them. And I think they added somebody on the defensive backfield. I think
they got what's his name? Malcolm Jenkins.
They got Malcolm Jenkins back who started with them from Philly. So I think the Saints will be, if you want to say NFC, I think the Saints are one of the top 2 or 3 in the NFC because everybody's going to jump right into the regular season. So what happens is any team that can jump out and and start off 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, or start off with a good run, then they're gonna because you don't get one team gets a bye. Remember, it used to be 2 teams. The Chiefs got it because of the game with the Patriots last year losing to Miami. So that's how they got it. Yeah. But only 2 teams got a bye. Only 1 team gets a bye. So the most important thing, if you want to get home field, is because it's going to be 3 wild card games instead of 2 on that first week. So the team that gets that home field advantage throughout the playoffs is going to be very good. So I get the Chiefs. Watch out for the Ravens are going to be real tough. Yeah. Tampa has got a lot of talent. I just don't know because Tom hadn't been there before, a new system and everything. Might be a little tougher. In the NFC, let me see. I'm looking at Philly. I'm looking at the Saints. I'm looking at the Ravens and the Chiefs. Going to be tough to deal with in the AFC.
And speaking of the Ravens, so like a guy like Lamar Jackson, is a guy that athletic, is it harder to block for him because he can be everywhere?
It's harder, but it's a blessing in it too because he can escape stuff when you might get beat or a play breaks down. He can improvise, so that makes it great. You just don't want to see him doing too much and get hurt. No. But I didn't block for anybody that I blocked for guys that were stationary. They couldn't move, so I had to protect them longer. So that makes it tougher. But with a guy like him, he makes the job easier most of the time because he can move around and escape and get away from stuff.
Definitely. And so you're making Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl after Pro Bowl. What was this like the secret to your continuity? How did you say so durable?
Blessed. In '96 I got hurt. I had missed a game, and I tore my MCL. I missed a few games. After that, I came back and I played, and I really wasn't out a lot. I had a scope. I missed a week. When I had a scope in '98, I really didn't miss anything else a lot till I tore my ACL before I got traded. And then when I got to Kansas City, I didn't miss a game for 3 years. So
that's awesome.
We staying in shape. Around that '97 season, I really learned how to take care of my body. I really went to Duke and trained. Before I went to Kansas City after the knee surgery, I went back to Duke and trained and did make sure my body, mentally you want to make sure your body's going to hold up. And a lot of luck goes involved with being able to play a long time and play at a high level. So I was just blessed that my body was able to withstand and be durable. And I think getting off the turf, getting on the grass in Kansas City, that was a major factor in me playing at that level for the next 4 years with those guys that we were on that grass. Cut real short, the grass gives a lot more. I don't care if it's even field turf. That grass gives a lot more than any other surface.
Is it true that the I don't even know if it's turf or grass, the field at FedEx in DC, I heard it's not good at all? Do you remember anything? Is anything vivid about that?
Is it grass?
I don't remember what it is, but I know they say it's horrible to play on.
Well, it's horrible if it's not maintained, it's not taken care of properly. Yeah. Yes, it can be.
Yeah.
But like I said, the good thing about Kansas City, Denver was on grass. Oakland had terrible grass. It was long. It was choppy. You had to put on certain cleats. I just like wearing rubber molds. I didn't like wearing them long spikes because it would get my back tight. Denver had long grass. Kansas City was short and a harder field, so they didn't like that. It was harder on other guys. We had a short, harder field. It was a running field. Those other fields were longer and thicker, and you had a long cleat in them. But Denver was on grass, Oakland was on grass, and San Diego was on grass. So everybody in our division was on grass.
Oh, cool.
So that really helped you with your body.
And so I saw that you said that if you hadn't played in Kansas City, you didn't think you'd make it to Canton.
Maybe eventually, because you got to remember, I had been to 7 Pro Bowls. I've been to a couple. I had made an All-Decade team, and I had been an All-Pro for a few years. When I went to Kansas City, I made 2 or 3 All-Pros, and I went to 4 more Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
So when you put me at 11, that's tied with the most for Ogden and Munoz.
Yeah.
If I hadn't gone to Kansas City, it's like the same thing with Cam right now and Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
It's usually after 9 years. I played 9 years. Antonio Brown, look at his stats. He's been to 7 Pro Bowls, I think. He's been All-Pro so many times. Now, I think he'll get in the Hall. I think I would have gotten the Hall because of the decade team and the All-Pros. I don't know if I would be in the Hall yet because look at Richmond Webb. He's not in the Hall. He went to 7 Pro Bowls. Yeah. Look at Baselli. He's not in the Hall of Fame. You know, now for a lineman, you need really 9, 10 plus Pro Bowls and at least 3 or 4 All-Pros on your resume to get in the Hall. I mean, you need the All-Pros. If you don't have the Pro Bowls and All-Pros are different. You need some All-Pros under your resume, and I got a few more All-Pros, and that's why I got in on that second ballot.
And so how did your move to Kansas City come about?
Well, if you don't know the history, I was going through a tough time in New Orleans, and I had the knee injury. I was still trying to play. I had stuff going on in my personal life, and it was similar to college. I had surgery after Thanksgiving because I didn't know my knee was torn up because it was torn at the top. So I played a couple games with a torn ACL in New Orleans. You know, they're going to put you out there if they think you're healthy, you can play. I went and saw Dr. Andrews, the famous doctor, had surgery. Because of other reasons, nobody really wanted to touch me. So I said, I have a daughter in Denver. I'd like to go play in Denver. Kansas City offered me a deal. Really, Kansas City was the only deal I had, so it's kind of like leaving high school. Kansas City was the only team that really wanted to touch me. When I left, I went to Kansas City and ended up playing on that great offensive line with Brian Waters, Casey Wegman, Will Shields, other Hall of Famer, and John Tate. And we had the best offense in the league. So it was a blessing to go up there and block for Priest and those guys. That was a lot of fun.
How happy were you when they won the Super Bowl in February?
I was very happy, man. I was happy because I played there. I know how passionate the fans there. It's been 50 years, so they deserve it. And Mahomes and those guys, I think now, you know, we were a little wilder back in the 90s. Everything wasn't on social media. We got away with more stuff. I think a lot of these kids are good young men. They're not out here doing this stuff. And, you know, I'm happy to see guys like Hill get his stuff together and make sure he turn his image around, Tariq Hill. And like I said, I was so happy that Kansas City got that ring. I wish Lamar Hunt was allowed to see it. Yeah. You know, you know, your ownership and everything is different. You know, when I was in Kansas City, when it was a draw, Lamar Hunt would come in there in the locker room and be shaking our hands. Really? Clark Hunt does that now. After every game, Clark Hunt's in that locker room, shaking players' hands. I had never seen that before from an owner. Really? Yeah. So when you have an owner that's down there doing that, it makes you want to play harder. It makes you appreciate it more. Yeah. In Kansas City, they you know, it's a lot of cliquing and a lot of ego. So, for instance, if I'm all pro, a lot of teams, guys that are Pro Bowl or whatever, they're not going to hang out with guys that are not in the Pro Bowl. They're not going to hang out with guys that aren't making millions. Well, in Kansas City, it was all inclusive and it was that bond. And it was special, you know, and they try to keep it like a family atmosphere. That's how Kansas City keeps it, family atmosphere, keep everybody close together. Let's get the egos out of here and let's go out here and play football. And when you play up in Kansas City, it was more like a college field than an NFL field in that stadium. So, you know, that made it special. And it was, you know, because, you know, you want to be a good football team, you got to be close on and off the field. Sometimes it'll work, but sometimes the egos get in the way.
Yeah. Did you go to the game? It's probably so close to you. The Super Bowl? Did you go in February?
No, we went to the after party. We were
Oh,
down in
cool.
Miami. I did not go to the game, but we went to the after party. You know, that's when they said the coronavirus really kicked off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were down there. We do the taste of the NFL every year. So we get to go and stay in the hotel. We do the taste on Saturday night where you take pictures and you hug and you shake hands with everybody and, you know, you do all this stuff. So we hung out and had a real good time. I met my wife in Kansas City. She's a huge Chiefs fan. So we got to go to the after party and hang out with some of the players. Coach was there. The owner was there. Ant-Man is a big Chiefs fan. He was there.
You saw Paul Rudd?
Huh?
Paul Rudd was over there?
Yeah, Paul Rudd was there with his kid.
Man.
And huge Chiefs fan. He dressed like Andy Reid every week. Eric Stone Street loves the Chiefs. Eric Stone Street was at the party.
That's
but
wild.
Paul, yeah, we had a great time.
That's awesome. You happy to see Mahomes get that big contract?
Very, very happy. I mean, and really, it's a fair deal. You got to think about it. It's 2 years left on the deal. So it spreads out his signing bonus and cap number over a 12-year period. When you get a 1-year deal or whatever, and then you try to get a new contract, that's especially what's called trying to get like that, trying to get a short contract. It hurts the salary cap. It's too much money. When you spread it out like that, that gives the team a lot of flexibility. And in about 5 or 6 years, they can go and restructure to help him some more. So he's not going anywhere. He's going to be a Chief until they don't want him anymore, which he won't. And you're living in Kansas City. The cost of living is not bad. So he's already bought a nice house in Mission Hill. Yeah. I mean, what do you need? He's flying on private jets free. Anyway, he goes to Kansas City. You think he's paying for any food? No.
No. I saw the thing. I think it was, I want to say it was the week of the AFC Championship. You remember the story that came out that him and his girlfriend, I don't know if it's now, but I remember they were at some restaurant and everybody in the restaurant, of course, knew who he was. And, of course, and nobody said anything to him because they knew, like, all right, a big game, don't want to bother him. And he walked out and he paid for everybody and he paid for the whole restaurant.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, that's awesome. And I think that's so cool. That's awesome. And that's wild. So, and also I saw that with his deal, they think in like 5 years, he won't even be the highest paid quarterback. They think that the cap's going to go up so much.
Yeah, so, but you know, in 5 years, is he going to care? In 5 years, he will. What's he going to make, $250 million? Plus endorsements. He's getting crazy. He's making money off the field, you know. Yeah. And he did a deal with Nebraska Furniture Mart, which is a big store. And he did a deal. He did some signings or did something with him and did a commercial with him. Oh, cool. He got all the furniture free. Like I said, he doesn't have to pay for anything. You know, he doesn't have to pay for a car. He can drive whatever dealership. Mahomes, we'll give you a car to drive.
Yeah, if you see somebody drive a car and it's Patrick Mahomes, that's advertising. So.
And they got their plate on it. What dealership? Everybody's gonna want to go to that dealership because Patrick Mahomes driving it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's a good young man, like I said, and you know, I look forward to meeting him. I never met him. I met Kelsey. I met some of those guys.
Cool.
You know, I met the linemen are very respectful. Teron Armstead and New Orleans and I are good friends. Some of those guys.
That's awesome.
You know, I look forward to meeting him, but I hear great things about it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
We got the same barber in Kansas City, Dewan. Dewan cuts everybody's hair.
Shout out. That's why. No, I saw because all the stuff in NBA, they flew in like 10 different of like the best barbers in the country, and apparently they're cleaning up down there. So.
Oh yeah.
That's wild. And that's I got when did you kind of know it was time for you were kind of ready to retire?
You know, my last year, I wanted to play one more year really, and I was looking forward to trying to play one more year. I was banged up. I got banged up that last year, tore my hamstring, missed the game. Well, I thought I pulled it. Then I missed 3 games. Came back, played, missed another 3 games. And I was worried. I could have went back and played the next year, but I was worried my body wasn't going to hold up. And I played 13 years and went to 4 straight Pro Bowls. Yeah. And unless we were really competing for a Super Bowl, I didn't want to go out there and let them boys start beating me and run around me. Because I played Freeney pretty good at the UMR and DeMarcus where I got out to Freeney in that playoff game in 2004. So I had some good games against Freeney, and he was getting after some guys. He was getting after Walter and Ogden and some of them. So I'm like, you know, I had my day in the sun, and I got to play Freeney at home on the grass. So I'm like, I had my day in the sun. It's time to go. I want to go out on a good note. I want to go out, let them want more. And in my last year, I got voted by the fans, by Pitch Magazine, as the most valuable player of the offense, and I missed 6 games. So they realized how important I was to the team, and they really wanted me to come back. But I went out on a high note, man. I went out and they wanted more. So I get a lot of respect in Kansas City.
That's awesome. And then, so what was it like when you finally got that call from Canton?
Wonderful, man, because my dad was a part of that. My dad went up there with me. I got to go do the coin toss at the Super Bowl.
Oh, cool.
When I had to go get on the plane. Back then, it wasn't like a room like they do now, where they knock on your door. If you got it, you got the call. You had to go to the airport right then and fly up. So I had to fly to Indianapolis. My dad flew up. I got to do the coin toss, and then we met with Floyd Little. Told us what to expect and all that in 012. But it was a great game because Brian Waters, who I played, was with the Patriots, and the Giants ended up beating them. Eli beat Tom twice, and they ended up winning that football game. So it was a crazy game. So it was a lot of fun, and going to Ken and my dad being there to enshrine me, all the family. When you go in the hall, your family name goes in the hall.
Yeah.
So for years and years, that Roaf name, anybody will be able to go in that museum and be like, that's my great grandfather, my uncle, my great uncle, whatever. And I have my third grandchild coming, so my name will live on in the Hall of Fame.
When you got in and you saw all those guys, was there anybody you were starstruck by?
I was starstruck going to the hall and being around Jim Brown, and I was a huge Steelers fan growing up. So Mean Joe Green and Franco Harris and Jack Lambert, all them guys. That was my team growing up. So
that's awesome.
You be around. I grew up watching football too. So all these guys I've been to see on commercial, I watched play as a kid. A lot of them were still living. Forrest Gregg was still coming back then. So, when you're around those type of guys and you just want to soak up and listen to them, soak up the knowledge from those guys.
That's awesome.
So for me, I'm relatively young to be in the hall, compared to when I got in at 42 years old.
That's awesome. That's a good. Are you glad that they moved it next year so fans can come? For the enshrined, because they postponed the one from this year?
Yes. I'm glad they postponed that. Get everything together. Next year's going to be a heck of a year because then you got Peyton Manning's class coming in.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, you got two classes going in next year. So you got the Hall of Fame class, Peyton Manning's class. Then you got the Black Hall of Fame class going in. This is going to be
a long day. It's a long day.
Well, no, they're going to have two. They're going to have different different ceremonies, but it's going to be a lot of excitement around the hall next year. And there'll be a year longer they're working on the whole Hall of Fame village and all the stuff they're doing. So it's going to be it's going to be a lot of excitement going into next year's hall.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's going to be the biggest year ever.
I can't wait, yeah. Especially after everything's happened this year, just next year. Like, everybody's like, 2020 is going to be a great year. They were wrong. Yeah. 2021, that's
2021.
2021 is going to be a great year. And then I just got one last question for you. So, when everything's kind of safe to do and everything sort of goes going back to normal, what's the first thing you're looking forward to doing?
My wife turned 50. I look forward to going somewhere celebrating her birthday.
That's awesome.
I haven't been on a plane. I drove to Louisiana. I drove my daughter. I haven't flown anywhere, so I haven't been, nobody's going anywhere. So I look forward to getting on a plane and, getting away for a few days.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, this has been a blast. And so for people that don't follow you on social media, how can they find you?
Find me at Willie_Roaf, Twitter and Instagram. Okay. So I look forward to your work. I'm on both platforms. Okay, and you can see what we're up to and what we're doing.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a blast. I really want to thank you again for taking the time, but this has been a ton of fun.
Thank you. And that's Willie with IE, Willie_Roaf.
All right, cool.